The trickster archetype's sole purpose in stories across space and time is to disrupt and deceive, causing change and progress. The trickster is a revolutionary force and at the same time an evolutionary catalyst. Psychologically, tricksters cut bloated egos down to size, bring the protagonist and audience back to earth, by pointing out the absurdities and imbalances that bring about stale psychological situations. If it weren't for their quick wits, our ancestors would have been slaughtered by saber-toothed tigers millenniums ago, leaving the human race to be nothing more than a confusing jumble of bones in the fossil record. Heavy emotional dramas and epics can be draining, and the trickster archetype offers some much-needed comic relief.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely?
Faith him were losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark?
Tricksters can serve many functions. They can be sidekicks of the hero, our shadow, threshold guardians, and even heroes themselves. The trickster archetype reaches far back in the annals of history, to ancient gods and goddesses of Greece, who, watching the mortals intently from Mount Olympus, reveled in their schadenfreude, like viewers of modern soap operas. Jesters and bards played this role in medieval times, as well as fairies, that were much darker and more deadly than their pixie counterparts portrayed in Disney movies like Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. In folklore of West Africa, tricksters were gods like Anansi, a spider that had the power to turn into a man. Anansi was used in Neil Gaiman's book American Gods and the sequel, Anansi Boys, as the character Mr. Nancy. And of course, in Nordic mythology, there's a shape-shifting Loki, the most well-known and popular of the trickster gods. In Greek mythology, there's Eris, god of chaos, as well as the satyr Pan, king of the woodland nymphs and wild streams. His pagan debauchery out in nature was later mangled into the devil by anti-pagan edicts of the early Catholic Church. Pagan magic is full of the trickster archetypes, and the followers of the ancient ways had to be secretive, able to deceive the church during the Inquisition, that killed hundreds of thousands of people for their belief in folk medicine, remedies that have been proven to work by centuries of practice, making it hard for the physicians to even practice medicine without being brought up by the church for heresy. For these people, the shape-shifting element of the trickster was essential in hiding their forbidden practices from the church. When the hero puts on the trickster mask, they're likely to disrupt and disarm the villain. A great example of this is the 1994 Jim Carrey movie The Mask, when Carrey's character Stanley Ipkiss literally turns into the modern form of a trickster by putting on Loki's long-lost magical mask, helping him overcome his reluctance to truly engage with life.
Then he could have banished him into that mask.
I'm talking about mythology, Mr. Ipkiss. This is a piece of wood.
But your book.
My book is about masks as a metaphor, Mr. Ipkiss. A metaphor, not to be taken literally.
Rabbits in folklore from around the world are quick-witted trickster heroes, outsmarting shadow characters like wolves and hunters. The trickster rabbit carried it on in modern storytelling, with the beloved cartoon character of the 20th century Bugs Bunny, and his counterparts in the Warner Brothers cartoons. Adult cartoon heroes take on the trickster archetypes as well, like Stewie from the Family Guy, Bart Simpson, or more recently Rick and Morty, constantly playing pranks on their adversaries and disrupting the status quo with their hijinks. Stand-up comedians resemble the core gestures of the past that poke fun at the kings and the culture of the moment. Comedians are the first to stand up and fight against politically correct censorship.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks.
A world where the comedians aren't allowed to make jokes is a scary place, and state-run comedy and satire is always derivative, as if it is being force-fed to the masses like an overprotective parent. The state and corporate powers have no right to meddle in affairs of comedians, and countries that do are Orwellian hellholes, where freedom is trampled on by the state and free will stamped out by the bottom of their jackboots. The tricksters call out the hypocrisy and lies, making people feel comfortable to speak their mind and express themselves in any way they see fit. The United States of America was founded by heroic tricksters who dressed up like Native Americans and threw British tea into Boston Harbor in order to fight against the tyrannical tea tax the old monarch tried to thrust upon their colonists. Tricksters can be heroes like Robin Hood, fighting for the little people, or antagonists like powerful sorcerers, or evil witches, casting spells and enchantments on their unwitting victims. Tricksters can also be anti-heroes, in the form of anarchists, nihilists, and rebels without a cause, that refuse to pick sides, content to sit back and watch everything burn.
They were nihilists, man.
Huh?
They kept saying they believed in nothing.
Nihilists. Fuck me. I mean, say what you want about the tenets of National Socialism, dude. At least it's an ethos.
Yeah.
Famous outlaws like Jesse James and John Dillinger constantly trick the law enforcers of their respected eras, always staying a few steps ahead, almost as if their criminal escapades were all just a big game of cat and mouse. Trickster comic book villains like the Joker and the Riddler from Batman, real-life serial killers like Charles Manson, or the more fictional variety like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, are very clever and become a dangerous threat to anyone that gets in their way. A popular modern version of a trickster who often falls somewhere in the middle of revolutionary and anti-hero are computer hackers, like the young Matthew Broderick in the movie War Games, the red-pilled, wide-eyed Neo from The Matrix, or the disassociated, schizophrenic Elliot in the more recent television series Mr. Robot, fighting the system with their computer genius. Real-life hackers steal important data and blackmail governments and corporations, or like Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, release classified data to the public, while the NSA and the FBI offer talented hackers sweetheart deals if they come work for them to fight crime. In Western civilization, there's an entire holiday called Halloween, with the famous tradition of trick or treat. If you don't have any candy to dole out to the neighborhood kids, you can expect an egged house or a flaming bag of dog poop delivered to your front doorstep. The quintessential trickster I think of when Halloween comes around is the demonic funny guy Beetlejuice, the original witch and minor goddess of Greek mythology, Circe, who had the supernatural ability to turn men into different animals and possessed a vast knowledge of herbs and elixirs. Circe was a metaphor within the works of Plato for the feminine powers of nature and the embodiment of magic. The trickster archetype is vital to human society. With it, people are blessed with the ability to break the ice, make difficult times more pleasant, poke fun at society, and question authority. The trickster archetype knows how to lighten people's mood, and when done in a non-malicious manner, can cure depression and neurotic behavior. Like when a family member or friend tries to motivate you to get off the couch, encouraging you to reach for your full potential.
You shall not pass!
When the trickster archetype is threatened to be abolished in society, people will fight back with political satire, commentary on society, and biting criticism. Censorship of the trickster is the death of free speech and freedom of expression. Without the ability to be a trickster, free will and critical thinking are stamped out by overzealous, power-hungry authoritarians.